So do you do a paid workshop or do you do a free workshop? That's got to be the number one question I get asked by therapists or coaches as they're starting to plan out their workshop. Here's my advice. Depends. Are you somebody who you've run workshops before? Do you have a proven validated offer? Have you ever run ads? A lot of those things are what will determine whether you should start paid or free. Most of the time, if you don't have a validated offer, it's a brand new business, or you've never sold it with paid traffic before, paid ads, Facebook ads, YouTube ads, I always recommend you start with free. Validate it. Get some people in. One of the things that you've got to do is when you start to promote a workshop is you need to train Meta's AI or YouTube's AI how to go find your best fit client that you want to even show up to your workshop. So start with free. Get people in, validate it. If it's the first time you're running a workshop and you've never proven that you can actually get somebody to a workshop and get them to say yes to an offer and to give you money and to start working with you, then I always recommend start with free. Now, here's the thing is don't just make it completely free. Here's what I mean. So if you're starting your first workshop, I'm going to kind of go through what the free side of it will look like, and then I'll tie in what a paid workshop would look like and why it's different towards the end. Okay, so first you have your free workshop. Now, the entire point of the free workshop is just to validate your messaging, your offer, that you're actually any good in front of camera, and you can take somebody from showing up casually, wondering what it's about, to getting activated and wanting to say yes to your offer to work with you. Now, you'll have your free registration, but then right after you're free, you're going to make them a VIP offer. This is the easiest place to actually sell something to somebody which is right after they register for your workshop. Now, kind of a default VIP offer is they can get the recording to your video. This may be kind of hard to see. Hopefully you can, that says recording if you can believe it or not. Okay, they get the recording to your video and they get a workbook. Okay, they get a workbook. Generally, here's kind of some price points to look at. Kind of the default usually for therapists and coaches is we'll sell that for $47 right out of the gate. This does a couple of things. One, you're actually selling somebody something before the workshop starts, which means they've had to get their wallet out, give you some cold hard cash, vote differently that they're willing to lean in and solve this problem because they voted with their wallet. It also allows us to send this signal right here that somebody actually bought. We get to send that signal back to Meta or YouTube and say, hey, that wasn't just any old registrant. They actually gave us money. Please go find me more people just like that. And it sends that signal to their AI. It goes out and it finds more people just like that for us. So it allows you to send some buyer data back to Meta or to YouTube, not just somebody who registered for free, because let's be honest, somebody who registers for free, a lot of them are just going to be information gatherers, which is why I'll talk to you about here in a sec, why you want to move from free to paid after you validated the workshop, because somebody will show up free. Now, workshop attendees are typically a pretty high quality of person because they saw your ad. They said, I don't know him or her, but I'll show up anyways. They showed up, showed you with their time that they're interested, stayed through the presentation to where you made the invitation, which is your offer, and said no or yes. And so it's not like, they downloaded a free guide that went to their email and you never heard from them or saw them again. This is somebody that saw your ad. They showed up to the workshop. They listened to what you had to say. Maybe they didn't buy into it, or they weren't in a position to buy, which can happen with a free workshop. But you still have a much higher quality person. All right. So I recommend you immediately, after somebody registers, you sell them a VIP ticket, $47 is kind of a default. you'll find that that will also help get back some of your ad spend that you spent to advertise for the actual workshop. So it's all good. Super awesome. Now, here's what happens after somebody registers for a workshop. Okay. I'm trying to get doesn't look like it's going to do it for some reason. I was trying to get, here we go. I was going to make it so it's not as thick. So here's what happens after somebody registers for a workshop. If I could speak here, enunciate. Your job now becomes to remind them of why they registered in the first place. It's not enough that they saw your ad, said, hey, let me stop what I'm doing. Let me check out this workshop. I think I might go. As soon as they register, guess what's happening? They're forgetting about you. They don't remember why it is that they wanted to sign up, generally speaking. And so we move into the second part of our process, which is how do we take them from I registered to getting them to show up. Okay. Now our job is how do we get them to show up? I'm going to share with you a combination of things that we do. One, we run what we call hammer them ads. Okay. Hammer them. Shout out my guy, Jeremy. He's the one who shared this with me. Hammer them ads. What does this mean? This means as soon as they register, they're going to see a combination of other ads that speak to that same problem that they raised their hand about. And you can show customer testimonials. You can destroy and obliterate objections that they would have as to why they believe they're stuck and what the actual real problem is. Just think about in your best prospect's mind, what are all the reasons that they would say no to working with you? They don't know you. This gives you a chance for them to get to know you. One of those ads can be a founder ad. Here's who I am. Here's why you should care. Here's what I've done that gives me authority. Here's, all the reasons I decided to do this. And here's why my way I believe is the best way. Okay. So it can be a founder ad. Anyways, you're going to set up all of these different types of ads and they're just going to see you peppering them before the workshop. So now they come into the workshop and there's some familiarity with who you are, how you operate. You're no longer a stranger. You've warmed them up. Okay. So you have the hammer them ads. On top of that, we are also emailing them. Now, these aren't just junk emails. Again, you want to think about this. You want to think about this the same way as the hammer them ads. You want to think, what are all of the reasons that keep somebody from saying yes to my offer? Assuming they're the right person, they've raised their hand, they've got a desire to fix it. What are all of the reasons that they would say no? Okay, what are all the reasons? They don't believe it will work for them because they don't think that you know what you're doing and can help them. Okay, let's put that in the email. So some of the things we can put in the email are case studies. Now, these emails are what we call value dense emails. These are not like, hey, remember to show up to the workshop. It's Wednesday at 1:00. These are things that they would find valuable before they show up, and it pre-frames what it is that they're walking into. You don't want them to be like, oh, here comes another one from this guy. Use case studies. Hey, I was working with this client. Here's what they were struggling with. Here's where her beliefs were. Here's what we were able to put in place for her. Here was the outcome. Tell stories. You want to create a variance of different types of emails, founder emails. Hey, here's the problem I was facing in my business, or here's the problem I was facing in my life. And when I learned this thing, it helped me overcome this. And now this is what I experience. Okay. So these emails, you're going to send generally minimum of 2 a day. Okay. Minimum of 2 a day. If you're seeing that people are opening them, we'll send as many as 5 or 6 emails a day. Okay. We'll send as many as 5 or 6 emails a day if we can see that they're getting open. But minimum, you want 2 a day. And these should be value driven, some of your best stuff. This idea that you should hold back some of your best stuff is absolutely garbage. Okay. Imagine Imagine dating somebody. I couldn't imagine dating my wife and being like, hey, I know I'm just going to let you get to know all the mediocre attributes about me, and I'm going to save the really good stuff for when you decide to marry me, have kids, and get a mortgage. She's going to be like, no chance, pal. It's the same thing with your clients. Now, one of the things to be careful with in these emails is we're not getting into the how, all right? Everything in here is what and why, okay? What to do, what somebody did, what was going on, why it is that you recommended what you recommended, but we're not getting into the how. By the way, your workshop is not designed to get into the how either. Your workshop should be built around one common idea that you want them, that you know that if you don't get them to believe that thing to be true, nothing else, they won't even take you up on anything else that you have to offer. And so the workshop doesn't get into the weeds on the how. Now, here's one last thing I'll say there. The reason we don't go deep on the how is because you don't want to give the how to somebody that's an amateur and then they go implement it. And because it's the first time that they're implementing it, guess what happens? It doesn't work very well. I mean, I can't even tell you the number of times that clients come to us and like, yeah, I tried to run Google ads or I tried to run Facebook ads. They just don't work. It's like, dude, they work. It's just a matter of what you were saying and what you were offering and nobody cared about. They didn't care about you. It wasn't a Facebook problem or a YouTube problem. It was a you problem. And so we don't want to give an amateur the how and then have them go off and try it. And then they come back and they say, well, what I attended this workshop and what she gave me didn't work. So it was her fault, not my fault. And then they go leave you bad reviews and they say that you're the problem. The how is for your offer. When you do your group offer, when you do your individual client work, when they're in your community, whatever it is that you do, the how is where you get, your offer is where you get deep into the how. Everything else is about what and why. That's it. Okay. So what's happening is somebody's registered for our workshop. We're now retargeting them with Hammer Them strategies, and we're also sending them 2 to 3 value-dense emails every single day. Okay. I'm not going to get into how we make the offer and all this stuff in the workshop. That's not the purpose of this video, but that is a free workshop. Now, what's different about paid? Paid, you just charge. So if you're finding yourself in a position where you're like, gosh, I'm attracting a bunch of the wrong kinds of people, charge something for it and you'll immediately see the quality of people go up, because people that are serious about solving whatever problem they're coming to you with, there's 2 ways they can vote: with their time and with their wallet. And so time and money is how we measure commitment. And so here's an example. Even just charging $1 for a workshop, you'll see a dramatically different person that will show up to these workshops than not charging. I recommend charging more than $1. So typically we'll go from anywhere from $7 to I've charged $4.97 for a workshop. Okay. So I recommend trying, just trying it out, because the goal is you're not trying to get rich off of workshop tickets. You just want to make sure that you're pulling in the right person that has raised their hand and said, this is my problem, and they actually want to solve it. Like, that's really the goal of the workshop. But $7 to $4.97. Then we sell a VIP offer. Okay. And then we want to add what are called order bumps. And you can actually add these in the free workshop. We will a lot of times. Now, here's what an order bump isn't. And I'm going to explain what it is, not assuming that you know what I'm talking about. So an order bump is like when you go to the grocery store and you're getting ready to check out at the register, and all of a sudden you see like the gum, you got the candy bars, the lighters, all the stuff that my 8-year-old is just beating down on us because she can't leave a store. It's a problem. She can't leave a store without getting an item. She wants to go to a store because she wants like a new stuffed animal, Squishmallow, something, right? And an order bump is a lot like that. Like, you've gone through the store, It's like, oh, I want that Snickers right before I leave. Now, an order bump should not just be more of what they bought. So don't just be like, oh, it's an extra video for the workshop. It should be something that helps them get results faster. So here's some ideas. If you're running a workshop and your message is around marriages and you're running it, I recommend you running a marriage workshop, either run it to men or women. Don't run it to both initially until you validated it. I would always choose one or the other. You can make a 7-figure business out of just helping the women initially versus the men. Okay. I digress. So what an order bump then becomes in this example is it could be some scripts, some de-escalation scripts. Hey, here are 10 things to take your fight from a DEFCON 10 to a 7, right? You're not saying like, you found yourself in the middle of a battle with your husband. Here are 10 ways I guarantee you'll stop fighting. No, they're already in the middle of the battle. What these scripts are is it can be language that they can use to bring the heat of the conversation down from a 10 to a 7. That would be an example of something you can sell for $11, $17, $9. Those price points typically tend to work pretty well because the goal of a paid workshop is for every dollar that you put in, if we can get $1 back out before the workshop even starts, before anybody has said yes to your offer, and we've got all our money back, guess what? When somebody says yes to working with you, that's all profit. Okay, that's why we're doing this. It's because it allows you to scale where you're not limited by your resources, but you're just limited by your demand, your capacity. Like how many people can you take into the program? So our goal is like, can we spend $1 and can we get $1 back? That's the goal. And we do that through charging general admission tickets, having a VIP offer, adding these order bumps, so that by the time we recover that money, we're in good shape. It also allows us, we can sell something every single day. What we're trying to pay attention to is what we call our AOV. I've heard this called average cart value, ACV. Just talk to 100 people, you may hear 3 or 4 versions of this. The real thing is how much on average can we get somebody to spend? Now, here's the big thing. If you're going to promote a paid workshop, and let's say it's $27, it may cost you $50, okay, will be your cost per acquisition, your CPA. It may cost you $50 to get somebody to register for a $20 workshop, which is still fine. I mean, you're still got over 50% of your money back before the workshop starts. But through adding these order bumps and these VIP offers, we want to get where somebody on average spends $50 with us. If it costs us $50 to get somebody to register, so we don't have any more money left in the deal by the time somebody takes our offer. Like if I spend $5,000 to promote a workshop, I want all $5,000 back, and then I'll go and invite 5 to 7 people to work with me and make $20,000, $30,000 at that point. So that's what we're talking about here is getting the economics of the workshop to work by making it paid versus free. So there's a mouthful there. That's how I would answer the difference between free and paid and some of the things I would think about when it comes time to run your workshop. Here's the biggest thing, is there will be nothing that will make a bigger difference in your business than creating a workshop. Now, here's what I'll say. There's a massive jump that happens between your first and your second workshop. You'll realize that after you do your first workshop, there are just skills that you need to sharpen. And then there are skills that you just don't have. This thing, I'll give you an example of Jordan. She's an LPC out of Texas. She ran her first workshop, and I don't think she got anybody. I think she spent about $600 on ads and didn't get anybody, or maybe she got one person. And and it was $1,000 offer. So she made her money back and made $400. And she was already making $150,000 as a therapist. But she didn't do very well her first workshop. Here's why. She had done some workshops and thought, oh, like I'm amazing at this. I got it all down. And she is amazing. All those things are true. But she didn't come in prepared enough. She had some technology stuff that kind of threw her out of her element. Anyways, fast forward, she ran her second workshop. She spent like $500 on ads her second workshop, made $10,000 or $11,000. Now, this is by no means a guarantee for you. I don't know enough about you, your resiliency. I don't know if you can get people to trust you. I don't know if you're any good at what you do. So, like, it's not an income claim. But she had a $10,000 a week, which was awesome, on about $500 in ad spend. That's what happens when you put a workshop together the right way. Now, my conversation with her then became, hey, do this every single week. Do this every single week. If you spend $1,000 on ads and you can make 10 grand, I don't know if that's going to hold, in your case, was what I told her. I said, but you make 10 grand every single week, you've got a $40,000 business. And she is on her way to having a 6-figure month. But it only came from her getting in the game. So get in the game. Get in the game with your first free workshop, validate it, make the tweaks, and then turn it into paid. And if you'd like to see what that looks like working with us, you can click the link below, take you to a page. You can answer some questions and see if it makes sense to work together. So get your workshop put together. Be great. Nothing else pays. And we'll see you later.